Welcome to The Explainer. You know that feeling when you lay out all the facts crystal clear and the other person just doesn't budge? It's incredibly frustrating, right? Well, today we're diving into exactly why that happens, especially when we're talking about something as huge as climate change. It turns out the secret to getting the message across might not be in the science, but in our own psychology.
Wow. This quote, it just cuts right to the chase, doesn't it? It perfectly frames what's at stake here. It's a stark reminder that while we're all busy debating and disagreeing, the consequences, well, they're very, very real.
All right, so first up, let's tackle a huge, and let's be honest, a really frustrating problem. We have this mountain of scientific evidence about climate change. It's overwhelming, and yet that critical message just isn't landing. It's not inspiring the kind of action we need. So, what gives?
I mean, the scientific consensus really couldn't be any clearer. The data? It's all there. But there's this enormous gap, this chasm between what the science tells us and what we're actually doing about it. We are just so far from having the political will to make the big moves that are needed.
And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? If the facts are solid, if the science is sound, what's the holdup? What's the roadblock? And this is where it gets really interesting. The answer, it turns out, isn't necessarily more data or some new gadget. Nope. The first step, it's all about how we communicate. Okay, so where are we going wrong with our communication? Well, a lot of the time, we fall straight into this classic psychological trap. It's this tug-of-war between logic and emotion. And here's the kicker. As you're about to see, trying to win by picking just one side, that's a surefire way to lose.
Just think about it for a second. How do we usually try to get a point across? We tend to go one of two ways, right? On one hand, you've got the pure logic approach. Just throw facts and figures at people. But let's be real, that can come across as cold, sterile. It just doesn't move anybody. Then you've got the other extreme, the big emotional appeal, shocking images, really urgent language. And that can feel kind of aggressive, you know? It can make people feel attacked and they just shut down.
So if both of those extremes fail, what actually works? Well, it's not about choosing. It's not logic versus emotion. The real magic, the key to genuine persuasion, is finding that perfect blend. You need just enough fact to be credible, combined with just enough emotion to be truly compelling. Okay, a perfect blend sounds great, but how in the world do you actually create that? The answer is with a tool that we've been using for literally thousands of years: a story. A good story is what finally builds that bridge between our logical brain and our feeling heart. So why are stories so ridiculously powerful? It's because they do these three incredible things, almost like magic. First, boom, they put a human face on what was just an abstract issue. Second, they take a problem that feels like it's a million miles away and make it feel immediate, like it's happening right now. And third, they take all these complex, messy ideas and make them totally relatable in a way that a spreadsheet of data just never, ever could.
You know, there's actually a scientific term for this gap that stories are so good at closing. It's called psychological distance, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's that feeling that a problem is happening, well, somewhere else, to someone else, and probably sometime in the future. But a good story, it just vaporizes that distance in an instant.
Okay, let's try a little experiment. Here's a cold, hard fact for you. Global sea levels are projected to rise by 1 meter. Now, that's a totally accurate statement, but what does it really mean to you? For most of us, it's just a number. It's abstract. It just doesn't connect on a personal gut level.
Okay, now let's take that same fact and turn it into a story. Picture a family. Maybe they look a lot like your family. And every single year, they watch the tide get just a little bit closer to their home. You can feel their anxiety growing as the water creeps closer and closer. See the difference? Suddenly, it's not abstract at all. It's immediate, it's emotional, it's real.
All right, so we've established that stories are the key. So the big question now is, how do we actually use them to push forward and really make a difference?
And look, this is why all of this really, really matters. The clock is ticking, and we absolutely have to get this message right. Using storytelling isn't just some clever little communication trick. It's an absolutely essential strategy. It's the way we can finally close that massive gap between knowing something and actually doing something about it. It's how we wake up an audience that has been, well, kind of numb from being bombarded with facts for way too long. So that leaves us with one last big idea to chew on.
If one single story can be that powerful, if it can take something abstract and make it real, take something distant and make it feel immediate, then what is it? What is the story that will finally be powerful enough to change the world?